share the link for that. This we are trying to do that. We do not know how much yeah, the recording is going on. That we can share at the end of the meeting with you once we stop the recording.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I think we can start now. Otherwise, we will get late into. Let the other people will join. I have removed the bar of admitting the people now. They can directly join in the practice. So, as I told you, we are talking about anxiety, and a few of us, there is will nobody will be there who have never experienced it in their life. So it is already there with the people. They have been feeling it. So we are doing just trying to talk about it. We are just trying to have an understanding about that actually what is it means, mm, anxiety is all about. You can see the screen.
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, okay. So basically anxiety and panic, they are related symptoms to our mind, signal to our mind that we are in danger, there is fear in our life, and mind actually operates with the same mechanism which it has been developed with very primitive years, and that is known as fight or flight response. So we, whenever there is a danger, what the caveman used to do, either used to fight or run away from the situation. So this is the our primitive programming of the mind that is helpful in all the situation. It was very helpful in the time of warfare, tribal fights, animal living in the jungles, and fighting and having the danger of any animal attacking to you anytime point of time. So it was really helping you to safeguard your life because it works, it helps us to survive. So that is why whenever we have the same kind of emotions which used to come at the time of when the man was living in the forest, the jungles, and the cave, so it responds in the similar way. So the way is that it responses like fight and flight response. So we have evolved with this protective mechanism, and we have confronted many real danger or threat due to this mechanism. So what happens when a fight or flight response is activated in our mind? Whenever there is a threat or a danger, what happens? Our body releases certain natural chemicals. They are adrenaline and cortisol, and they work on our nervous function. They give us a burst of energy, and they make our body strong with the whatever decision at that moment in front of that danger we are going to take, whether we are going to face it head on, we are going to fight, or we are going to flee or run away from the situation. But in both the cases, we all need focus, we all need strength, and we have to be prepared for the next action at this very moment. So this surge of, actually we can say adrenaline is a very friendly chemical in this way, because but it results in giving us very anxious kind of feeling, and our nerves feel like on the edge, and we are in a very worried state, ready to action. हमको क्या action लेना है? But the thing is that there is no visible enemy most of the time in front of us. Most of the time it is now the emotion in present day world scenario. We do not have any danger of an animal attack. We do not have standing in a warfare where the other soldier is coming with a sword on us and we have to. So the situations are say changed, but we have the same response, emotional response, like before an examination. We are still worried, kya hoga, what happened, or how it is going to be. So the emotional feelings which come, they are the similar. So when the similar feelings arise in our mind, our brain, the similar response is activated by the mind, ready for action. So let us see how actually what happens when our brain goes for a fight or flight response work, and how it works. So when there are sensations, there are few sensations which we feel in our body as a result of this activation. What happens? Number one, our mind and body, they set on very high alert, watching out for any signs of danger around us. So this is the flight and fight respond. But symptoms what we feel in our body, the sensations we have, we feel sensation of danger and agitation, we feel uneasiness, we cannot relax. And then we have the other body symptom is that rapid breathing, which helps actually divert blood to our vital organs. But because of this action, we have dizziness, we have lightheadedness, lightheadedness, and we have hypertension. And then our vision is also changed into tunnel vision from peripheral vision, so that we can particularly focus on where the danger is coming from. We can spot any movement or something, and even our pupil of the eyes, they widen so that more light comes in. But what happens physically to us, our eyes get strained. We have a fear of going blind because we have a blurred vision, and we can have spots in front of eye. We can become sensitive to the light, and we see that what is going around me is not real, because I can't see the whole picture there at that time because I have a tunnel vision. My view is very focused. And next, adrenaline increase, it increases the heart rate so that it can send blood to the muscle group to prepare them to take action. But what result is, because our heartbeat is they rapid heartbeat comes, palpitation becomes high, and we may have some skipped beating, and we feel a kind of like our chest is choking. So we feel this kind of symptoms arise in our body. The next happens then in the flight or fight response is that it increases the sweat so that our body does not overheat. Whenever we go for some exercise, whenever we do some physical exertion, what happens? We sweat because our body temperature has to be kept in control. And the same thing our body does at that time also when we are going for a fight or flight response. But and so what happens? We have cold flushes, we have cold hands, or we may, sometimes only our hands have the this sweating. And next thing is our stomach. It produces extra juices and digestive juices at that time, because we, as quickly as possible, the body wants to digest the food and eliminate it from the body, because it is very difficult to take some any action when you have stuff in your stomach. So the prime focus of the body is that to have digest the food and it eliminate to it. So we can feel the butterflies in our stomach. We can have diarrhea, we can churning stomach or acidity, indigestion, or we frequently need to go to the toilet again and again whenever this situation arises. So when we have looked at these typical symptoms of a panic attack, because all these or some of them may arise at that time because the adrenaline is increased in our body. So how when we compare these sensations, we know when we are going through clear threat or danger. So there are, when we have, like, you are sitting in a building, your office building, suddenly you hear a fire alarm. What happens? And suppose you were just trying to on a railway track, you was trying to cross it, and suddenly you hear the whistle of the train coming from that some left or right area. Or so there might be some situations when you really have a kind of a threat in front of you. So what happens at that moment? You have the same sensation. You get panic. You have headache, you dry mouth, choking sensation, sweating, rapid heartbeat. You have a diarrhea, and you feel cold chills. You have trembling feet as if you are going to collapse just now, and you feel numbness, and you also have butterflies in your stomach. So many a times people say that there is a time of danger, people run to the washroom. Why? Because they have some, kind of this butterfly churning feelings in their stomach at that moment. Now what happens? So we see that it is the clear signs of fight or flight sensations, and they are arising because we have a clear danger, which is a real a threat to us. But we see that the danger is, they are related to danger, but in themselves, these kind of sensations or symptoms arising in a body, they are not harmful in themselves. But they will automatically die down or cool down once this danger is passed. Suppose you have ran out of the building which had a alarm, fire alarm. So when you come out of the building at a safe distance, you will not feel these kinds of symptoms again, sensations again, because you know that you are out of danger now. And suppose you have crossed the track before the train arrived there, you will not feel these kinds of feeling or any anxiety, because you know that you are out of danger now. So it is your safe. So how it happens? You have a clear or obvious, real or perceived threat of danger. Then what happens? Fight and flight, extreme physical or mental response come, and you have the anxiety symptoms. Then you realize that these symptoms are related to the danger, and they are not harmful to you. They are harmless. So sometimes symptoms, they also die down once you are out of this danger. So you do not have any panic, and your body returns to normal. This happens in a situation where there was a real danger. But sometimes what happens if this fight or flight response gets activated or happens suddenly out of the blue? You did not have any, there is no fire alarm in the building. You are sitting there, and there is no other kind of threat or coming to you. You are sitting in a restaurant having a food. It's a very normal environment, and nothing is happening like can be called a danger. But suddenly, out of the blue, you start feeling the sensations in your body, and you no clear reason when these symptoms and these sensations come to arise in your body. What happens? We get panic. हमें पैनिक हो जाता है कि oh, I do not know, because we do not understand what is going on. And the most important thing that is, make the situation worse, that how it panic arises, because we make a mistake. The mistake is that because we are in danger, all the symptoms which are coming, they are going to put us in some kind of harm. Though we do not actually panic because of the stress or anxiety or threatful situation, but we not even be aware of that any anxiety we have. We feel we are normally sitting there, whatever these suddenly these sensations, they start arising in our body, and they arise because of the fight and flight response due to no obvious reason. जिसमें we feel that okay, that is frightening us so much that our bodies get to start preparing, and then what we happen, we misinterpret these symptoms, and we mistakenly believe that this means something is going to be very serious, very harmful. And moreover, we catastrophize. We go to the extreme situation. My heartbeat is rapid. Oh, I'm going to have a heart attack. I'm going to die. In the within a fraction of second, we go to these very, very dangerous thoughts, very, very harmful thoughts, and we catastrophize the situation. If our legs are trembling, oh, I'm going to collapse. And if I can't breathe properly, I'm going to die. I'm going to choke. I'm suffocating. I will die soon. So we quickly go to the moment that, okay, I'm going to die now in one way or the other way. That is coming to me. I'm going to blind because I can't focus. My vision becoming a little blur. So all these thoughts come to our mind, and that what happens whenever we have spoken earlier about that. Okay, whenever we have a feeling of insecurity, fear, or danger, adrenaline is released. So क्या होता है? This is a cycle now. We have a fear, we have an adrenaline release, and this adrenaline again increases the symptoms and sensations. So we have more fear. So the more fear again releases the more adrenaline in our body. So, but there is a point to understand that this creates a lot of panic, because we have sensations in our body. We have without any anxiety, prior anxiety or fear, but because of these symptoms, we have anxiety, we have fear, and we misinterpret these symptoms as something very, very bad is going to happen to my body. I'm going to have a heart attack. I'm going to get choked. I'm going to be suffocated. I will not be able to breathe. I will become blind. I will collapse. And we misinterpret and we catastrophize all these symptoms, and we get into a panic mode. And then as I told you that the moment we get into panic, the more adrenaline is released in our body, increasing the physical symptoms. So even though So a panic, it seems very, very terrifying, but it cannot cause any actual harm. Though it seems like that is something very bad is going to happen, but it is a mistake. You have to remember and believe it that whenever it happens, these symptoms are not going to do any harm to you. If you believe this, it will be a mistake. So, keep in this one thing has to be remembered. The body can, and the other thing is that body can only release a high level of adrenaline for a short period of time. So as the time passes, this again have to die down eventually. Though when adrenaline cannot be produced more in more amount, what will happen? These extreme symptoms of panic will also die down because they are working with the push of the adrenaline in our body. And when the adrenaline level is low, these symptoms will also die down. So automatically you are going to become normal after some time. So without even doing anything. So what happens? You have some, I think, something going in your mind, or all of a sudden you have this feeling of fear. So adrenaline comes as a, oh, my name is Captain Adrenaline. I am here to help you. And you are puzzled why these symptoms, sensations by created by adrenaline are I am feeling in my body. And then the adrenaline, because you ask these questions, you again got fearful. Adrenaline again say, oh, I will help you fight. I will help you flee. I will keep you from away from the danger. I'll make you ready for the action. I'm your side. So I'm trying to help you. But now you know. Okay, understand. It is a mistake. These symptoms, these sensations are not going to do anything with you. And what you say, thank you, good man. You know? So it was sometimes you say ki your adrenaline, it is invited, your uninvited guest in your life, and you have the symptoms arising in your body, sensations, that these symptoms and sensations frighten you once again furthermore, and the more adrenaline is added to you and you become panic. But the one thing that has to be remembered is that these symptoms and sensations will die down without any putting any harm to you. They do not cause any harm to you. They are harmless, and you do not have to do anything about them, because adrenaline cannot be produced again and again for an endless time. It has to be stopped after some time. It will stop, and then when it will stop, what will happen? You will not have these symptoms, these sensations and symptoms will also die down. So, how we misinterpret and catastrophize the symptoms? Let us have a look. We have already studied about the symptoms or the sensations when they have, or the effects of fight and flight response in our body. And what actually we think or catastrophize, or what mistakenly we fear when these symptoms arise. When we have an increased heart rate, what do I say to ourselves? Oh, I'm going to have a heart attack now. When we have a trembling or jelly legs, I'm going to collapse. And there is shortness of breath. I'm going to stop breathing now. I'm going to die. No tightness in chest. When mind is also focused on danger because you're so say I'm going mad, what I'm looking at, you feel dizziness, oh I'm going to faint and collapse, you have a nausea, I'm very, very seriously ill, something very serious is going to happen to me, is happening to my body, and you have a feeling of choking. Oh, I will be choked to death, because you feel that it is not going to end soon and you will die in between, and you have the hot flashes or sudden chills. So they you say, oh, everybody is looking at me, everybody will laugh at me, everybody see that how anxious I am. You can have tingling in your fingers or toes, or you like a sweating because of the temperature control. So you say that I cannot cope up, what is happening to me, I have not no control over my body, I'm going to. So these are the negative and worst situation thoughts, they come to us, our mind, and basically these are the thoughts that make us panic. As of which 1 year there is nothing serious had happened to us, the body has suddenly out of sometimes out of suddenly sometimes in the winters also you have sweating in your hand. So after, if you don't ignore it, After some time, you will feel normal. But if you put attention to it, why it happened, something is going wrong, something is that, so it will increase for some time. Then you will get into panic mode that something very, very wrong is going to happen to me now. What should I do now? So, okay, that's why we have a panic attack because we misinterpret the things and we have a mistaken belief that these things are actually very, very harmful. But why do people have repeated attacks? एक बार हो गया ठीक है, बार बार क्यों होता है? Why it comes again and again? There are reasons behind it. What happened? It is the fear of the panic itself that leads to further attack. Once we have experienced this panic, we are always in the fear of having another panic attack in our life. So when we are worrying about these consequences of having further attacks, just like somebody had a panic attack in a very crowded place. Now that person will always say, I will not going to any crowded place. Whenever the person sees any crowded place, the fear of panic will come back to him. Okay, it will. So when we have this fear, this further panic attacks are added fear, and they can continuously produce feeling of anxiety and stress. And it because of our fear, we will again have a panic attack, though it was not required. But because we have these feelings, so it is called anticipatory anxiety. What if the next attack is worse than the last one? What if I have collapsed? This I did not collapse last time. What if this time I do like that? What if? What if? So there are a lot of what ifs comes into our mind. And what happens? We have a low level of adrenaline which keeps the body in high alert, ready to produce more adrenaline at any moment of time. Whenever you have this, fear a little bit increased. So anticipatory anxiety is always at the work because you are always constantly thinking something about that next panic attack is going to happen to you very soon. So once you had a panic attack, it lead to after the panic, we live in the fear of constantly another attack. We again, whenever the sensation happen, we again misinterpret the thing, we again catastrophize, and we again imagine the consequences of further panic attack. And body stays in a very high alert, low level adrenaline mode. Mean, and so when a body is highly alert, fight and flight response gets triggered very easy, more easy. So the thing which was not coming so quickly, so easily like this, now it will come because we are already alert. When you are alertly guarding somewhere, you hear a little sound and you just become more alert. Who is there? Who is what sound it is? So the body is like that. When it is the body is in already high alert, so something a little bit trigger is there, and the body goes into the fight and flight response. So remember, so whatever the life situation led to our first panic attack is not the cause of repeated attack. हमें लगता है कि पिछले पैनिक अटैक के कारण ही दूसरा अटैक हो रहा है because we had a attack, so it means that some kind of problem is with me. I will have subsequent panic attacks also, but that panic is not the cause of the other panic attacks. It is actually the fear of imagined consequences of the extreme feeling of fear, panicking about panic. So you are already getting anxiety, anxious about the further coming of panic anytime in future, though there is no chance that it will return. So it is not the panic which will cause the next panic. It will your fear of panic will create the other panic. So good news is that we don't need to get rid all of your anxiety or stress to overcome panic. ऐसा नहीं है कि हमको लाइफ में we can't have any stress, we can't have any anxiety because I get panic attack. No, it is not necessary that you have to do that. It is you have to just overcome your own understanding about the fear of that panic attack, and you have to understand it clearly and adjust your thinking pattern in a little bit. So whenever there is anxiety and stress, they do not directly cause panic. The panic arises when we misinterpret and catastrophize the physical sensation or the body response of fight or flight response to us. So these symptoms may arise sometimes out of anxiety or sometimes out of stress. जब हमें ज़्यादा stress होता है, when we have more anxiety, sometimes we can have more, my heartbeat increases at that time, and I have my hands full of sweat at that moment. I may feel kind of trembling. I may have, butterflies in my stomach, but I need not catastrophize. I do not misinterpret that, okay, something very, very bad is going to happen to me now. I'm going to die. No, it is, these are very small symptoms and they will die down. These, so when we have this kind of thinking, we these are harmless and fighting cycles of fear can removed from our life. So what do we need to understand that what is happening? It is not at all dangerous. These increased heartbeat, or maybe I'm not able to breathe properly. These symptoms are not going to do any harm to me. And we have to reduce the belief in our misinterpretation. And we have to learn how to break the frightening but harmless cycle of fear. You know? So we have to understand, remember that these are harmless symptoms, and I do not have to misinterpret into very, very, do not have to catastrophize to the worst situation, and have to understand this and to put into practice my all understanding. So we can have total and absolute victory. Grandma, I was telling you that if you are there, that you can have a total recovery out of those feelings. When you lose your fear of panic, it will stop happening. And to lose your fear, you have to prove to yourself that panic cannot do you any actual harm. So you have to repeat, to tell yourself, you have not have to catastrophize, misinterpret, never to make that mistake that these symptoms are really going to harm you. So when you are no longer afraid of panic attacks, they will stop happening because your fear that keeps them going is no more here now. So there are few things we can do. So first, the change the way you think, challenging the misinterpretation. Okay, I may have a high, my heartbeat is rising, but doesn't mean that I'm going to have a heart attack. And so we can correct the mistaken beliefs about the panic. It will reduce our fear of panic when we have, and when we have less fear of panic, so it will stop happening to us. We need to replace our mistaken catastrophic thoughts about panic, so actual truth about the symptoms. So these we will not going to we are not going into very much detail this time because it's a very long process. Maybe we can have a part two of this webinar workshop again, where we can talk about the steps and the actions which we can take while how to control our panic if we go on and permanent anxiety. And we will do one more small exercise in few minutes so that it will help us to, maybe I hope so that it will help you for a year, at least for one or the some time for that. So four basic steps we can take about it. First is that we have to catch the thoughts, which are the misinterpretations I am making about the sensations of my body. Suppose if your legs are trembling and you say, I'm going to collapse now, this is happening. Like we have spoken many times that whatever there are symptoms, we thought the worst, we think the worst. We should not, we catch it. Okay, I am thinking, I'm catastrophizing, I am misinterpreting these things. Then challenge your thought. This is not good. What is the evidence here that I'm going to die? What is the evidence here? So look at these, challenge it. It is not true. And then change it, correct the thought. Oh, it is just my fear. Restructure the thought based on the actual evidence because you never have suffered from anything. It is just die down. So when you restructure your thought, it is harmless. It is not going to harm me. And then test it. Put it the thought into the test and wait how it happens. It comes true and it will come true because it is just a thought. It is just a mistake. It is just a misinterpretation of the physical symptoms, which are actually harmless, not doing any harm, and are going to die down automatically after some time. So here, now stop my sharing here. So I have already shared a form where you, I think, had some, I have asked you to share your questions. I'll do here. I'll stop recording here because we have